to get back to this, let's talk about gods.
Yes.
If I may, and talking about this disconnection from nature God, it seems like a big part of this is the what I view as the false gods that have come to dominate human existence.
Yeah.
And just like with the real gods, there's a holy trinity of sorts of these as well. And that would be the big one, government, and number 2, corporations, and number 3, organized religion. And, especially government, it seems like it's, similar to God in ways. It's this entity that clouts itself as something that can solve society's problems. It lets us pray to it in a way, interact with it in the form of voting,
Pledging allegiance.
It wants much like a church, it wants a tithe in the form of a tax, and it's even spread this tax to people that supposedly own their own piece of nature God, and these people still have to pay every year this tithe, this tax, this rent. They don't really own it. They don't really even own this thing that they say they own, because they're still paying this fake God government entity that has laid claim over all of real God. And the only entities that can own real God and not have to pay this tax, rent, tithe are corporations and organized religions, and they aren't people. They're also this entity, much like government, that has this godlike status of it will keep living forever as long as people believe in it, aka keep giving it money or attention. And yeah, these entities, I see them as distractions in so many ways from the real God, from nature, and our connection to it, and our connection to ourselves, as well.
So I don't I don't inherently disagree with you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's good news.
There's a few things that come up almost because I'm kind of in between. On one hand, I believe what you just laid out, and I think it feels good, it feels right. But there's also, and I also will agree that where we are with all that stuff that you're saying is a distraction from real God, this false God of government and, I guess, corporate Western society.
Yeah.
I feel like with all of that, the industrialization of the Western world, government, and organized religion, and all these things, I feel like there is something useful and good about those things that may be worth preserving. Like it's a don't throw the baby out with the bathwater situation, because there's a lot of bathwater.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of misuse of these things that may be good in some way.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, we should destroy all these things or whatever. I'm just supplying awareness for how I see these entities.
Yeah.
And maybe it helps somebody to see it in this fashion as well.
Yeah.
Because it certainly has freed me up in ways just to look at these entities like this.
Yeah.
And myself and nature and in this way is pretty empowering.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so Like one piece, like one thought that I have that I think helps clarify a little bit of like why I would even humor playing a devil's advocate role, is, you know, especially a lot of these like environmentalist arguments we have, there's like this inherent presupposition that humans and what humans do is separate from nature. And I don't know if we are right in that assessment or that judgment. You know, like where is that line where we as human beings are no longer part of nature? Because I think if you were to take some hypothetical alien to come down and analyze the planet and all the different species, and also like thinking about the alien's intelligence compared to ours would be like our intelligence compared with an ant's, you know, like we distinguish, not to get too far in that, but the way that like the alien would observe something like a bird and see that the bird builds nests,
Yeah.
like that the nest is part of nature and it's a thing that the bird, which is also part of nature, built. I feel like aliens would see human beings as an animal in nature, part of nature, and that things like buildings and homes, this is the human version of a nest.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They take the natural resources of the world, like the birds take sticks, natural resources of the world, and construct a thing for it to live in and interact with. It's just humans are doing a much more complicated version of a nest.
All right.
So
I agree with this.
yeah.
I agree we are in nature.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, you know, there is this evolutionary playing out of our nest building, right, where we may be going too far, like learning things like, oh, you know what, maybe shoes aren't so good for us because they disrupt our natural connection to the electromagnetic field that is on, you know, the surface of Earth, the organic organism that is Earth.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of inflammation issues because of our constant disconnectedness to that.
Right.
So that's a misstep. Maybe we should do something to correct that. Maybe get rid of shoes or start wearing shoes that can connect with that can protect our feet. One, because that is a good thing about shoes. They protect our feet from glass and fire ants and all sorts of dangers that are on the ground.
This is the perfect metaphor
Yes.
for what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, well, maybe we could make shoes out of a material that can still connect with the ground and give us what the earth like is supposed to be giving us,
Right.
but still protect our feet and preserve that, you know, balance the nature with the human innovation. And yeah, all sorts of things like that. Like I know we have all sorts of views on the medical field and Western medicine, like surgeries and medications. I'm someone that believes these are great technological innovations and they have their use, but perhaps we're overusing them. You know, perhaps we really should only be using them in like emergency situations where it's like they could prevent death. But if it's like, oh, this is some like chronic illness that you could solve by adjusting your diet or putting your feet on the ground more often,
Right.
changing your water supply, all sorts of things like that. Where it's
Yeah.
like, no, you probably don't need to be taking these pills that are going to be giving you all sorts of perhaps worse side effects.
Yeah.
But I would like to hear you talk now.
I love it. I love that pass. Yeah. So, yeah, we are, for one reason or another, humans in general have set these things up, have given these entities our attention, our power, our money, and I feel like it's for whatever the reasons are that I think a lot of it has to do with our fear of death, of leaving this place and going into this unknown territory, that we've got to hang on to something somehow. We've got to create these things that can last forever.
Yeah.
This government, these products, or these this organized belief into this thing that is unbelievable. Like, you can't know one way or the other what the hell is going to happen after this life,
Right.
until you get there. And yeah, not that that's good or bad. It just adds to the complexity of whatever the hell is going on here.
Right.
This weird ass maybe game that we're in, which I think is a fun way to look at this thing that we're in.
Yeah, game.
Yeah, what if this is just an odd game that we're playing? And and I get that.
When you wake up, when you die, you wake up in an arcade chair.
And that's it.
Yep.
Put in another quarter.
Yeah.
Go again. But I've to connect this back to what we were talking about with nature and technology, I feel like there is an important connection there. And especially with what is potentially coming in the future, with technology becoming maybe a god. And I feel this way because of a DMT trip that I went on, where I consumed DMT, and the whole world, including myself, fractaled into very mechanical looking, but also very natural looking vines, limbs, and circuits that moved around until it formed a face of what I deemed to be the creator of everything talking to me. And so this creator is made of technology and nature. Which leads to me to believe that these are maybe our two, if not gods, then just great teachers. That's guiding us on this incredible journey of this life. Because there's so much to learn from both of those, and I feel like they help each other so much. For example, like if you were looking up how to make a salad, like that's made of nature, but you can easily look up on the internet and see hundreds, maybe thousands of various recipes, and then you could take that even further and learn how these things are grown, or how the microbes in the soil are affecting how these are grown, how they're affecting the microbes in your body, and the best ways to manipulate on the micro level what's happening on the macro, which is a really special part of the universe also.
Right.
These tiny things that are essentially affecting us, affecting our whole being.
Yeah.
Okay, you talk now.